That's right. The title says armed teachers. And you know why? Because of that shooting that just happened
in Connecticut.
So Barry, what's the deal with this shooting?
Well, the deal with this shooting is we don't have any details on it yet, but the news says that the death count is 27, and the boy killed his own mother, who was a teacher there. We know that much according to the news. But now you have to remember, with these shootings like this, the first figures that come out and everything, then each newscast is trying to get the story, and a lot of this stuff is different.
And of course, each news agency is going to twist the results.
But hopefully there's not 27 people killed, but the point of the matter is, they have talked about this for years, and people have discussed this over and over about arming teachers. Now, what kind of message does that send to the child in the classroom? But the point is, the teacher doesn't have to wear a gun in the open. They can have a gun concealed on their body somewhere, whatever. But the point is, when something like this starts to happen, there's no resistance to it.
Well,
you can't. How are you going to resist a gunman? Now, they think he had 4 guns. I think he had a Glock 10mm and some other kind of gun, and he had an AR out in his vehicle.
You know, that figure is going to change all over the place. In the next 2 or 3 days, you're probably going to hear everything from assault weapon, evil, baby,
Right.
crap, all this stuff. But the point of this gun gripe, and the reason I jumped right at you out of the screen and said armed teachers, because I've been an advocate for armed educators for years. I've been trying to tell all these people that we need to have armed teachers, and the shooting at the elementary school is just proof that teachers need to be armed, if not students. Now, granted, yes, children shouldn't be armed, I guess, but if you're at a college, they should have carry on campus, and that way stuff like that won't happen. See, the problem with these shootings that we're running into, as you're seeing on a consistent basis, the thing they all have in common, they are gun-free zones.
Right.
They are
zero tolerance for guns on thing. Now, if you'll notice, some of these shootings are taken, like in the Colorado movie theater in Connecticut, and we had a recent mall shooting. I forget where it was, but only 2 people were killed, and then the gunman killed himself. They don't have any guns. Now, here in Forest Park, where we're located, Forest Park High School has its own police officer that is assigned to that school. There's a real police officer walking the hallways of that school.
Well, but even if a school has a courtesy officer, there's still no guarantee that that won't happen. Here's the way, if you're a parent like me, Barry's a parent, you need to look at it like this. You're trusting that person with your children's life for every day. That person, and essentially, is a babysitter. Okay? Now, let's face it, I know some kids are responsible, they can walk home, whatever. But the bottom line is that you are dropping your kids off at a place where they are under the responsibility of that one adult. And I'm sorry, but if I've got responsibility for 30 young kids, I'm going to have a damn gun.
Well,
I'm sorry, but I don't care what the damn law is.
But you have to remember,
I'm going to have a gun.
You have to remember, folks, times have changed. When I was a child going to school, the school was the safest place for your child to be. Now it's one of the most dangerous places for your child to be. And that's how society has reversed itself. But I'm with Eric on this thing. People have mixed emotions about arming teachers. But we have students over here at Georgia Tech that are getting raped and robbed and whatever, and they're disarmed on the campus.
Yep.
And they tell them, we'll travel in a group. Well, the other day, 4 girls were traveling together. 2 guys came up with guns, and the girl said, well, what is 4 unarmed girls going to do against 2 armed guys?
Or one armed guy, for that
Or
matter.
even one armed guy. It doesn't make any sense, but you have to remember, times have changed, and we're living in a society right now where it's never the perp's fault, it's always somebody else's fault.
That's right. In the big scheme of things, it's just the thing that gets me is all these people that have, in light of this recent shooting, they're coming out and they're like, oh, well, we need to ban all the guns. You look at like these news agencies where they've reported, and you look in the comment section, there's overwhelming majority, well, not completely, but there's a majority of people that are like, oh, if we banned all the guns, this stuff wouldn't happen.
Right.
Nonsense. If you banned all the guns, this would happen everywhere. And that, this gun gripe really gets me, because it could have been prevented.
Right.
It could have been prevented.
Or it could have, at least it could have stopped the carnage before it got to the point that
Right.
it did.
I mean, it could have stopped the threat, you know.
Right. But you can't stop a threat unless you have equal or greater force.
That's right.
You can't do that.
That's
so,
right.
And these criminals know that it's illegal for someone to have a gun on school property, so they're going to go kill somebody. They don't care if it's legal or not.
Well, and for that matter, they don't. You know, ultimately, I think we've proven that you would think that someone that is bound and determined enough to kill a bunch of people is going to do it anywhere they want to do it.
One way or another.
Now, whether, you know, now let's say that if that shooter, you know, I guess if you want to look at the flip side of the equation, what if that shooter said, you know what, I want to kill a bunch of people, but I'm going to drive my truck through the fence at the Army base here and shoot up as many Joes as I can before they gun me down with an M60 or something.
Right.
Well, you know, he could have done that, but did he? No. He chose to attack a place that he knew he would see no resistance.
Right.
And with the, you know, the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting, same thing. Gun-free zone, he knew not many people, if any, would be packing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the school shooting, Columbine, a school.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
So, you know, these politicians that want to take your guns, they want to restrict guns, you know, it's not about that. This video is not about that, but essentially, the thing that gets me is they want to impose legislation. They want to ban your guns. They want to take your guns away, whatever they decide they might want to do, or whatever the case may be. You know, they go through that trouble, but they're not really fixing the problem. The problem is not restricting civilian firearms ownership. The problem is, you know, that they are restricting firearms ownership.
Right.
So if a teacher at school is empowered to protect their kids and take responsibility for keeping track of them kids, then this wouldn't have happened.
Well, I've also observed.
Or if it did, it would have been over quicker.
I've also observed through my life, I lived through the first Clinton crime bill, and it seems like it's a strange coincidence that a lot of these things start happening right before some gun legislation. And it's like, I don't know whether these people are thinking about the guns all the time now, that it's always on their mind, and then they turn to the gun. Or, I mean, I've even heard claims that some of these shootings are actually orientated by the government to pass their agenda or whatever. I don't really believe that.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
We're not trying to come off like that. We're not. That's not our official, you know, claim. It's just that it's something to consider. That, you know, it seems awfully, you know, much of a coincidence.
Well, now, this fellow in Connecticut, the death count now is 27, according to the news. Now, up until now, the Luby's Cafeteria massacre in Colleen, Texas, was I think he killed 23 people. So this guy now has surpassed him. But the point I'm trying to make is there's copycats, there's copycat killers. I mean, but it always seems like it's a coincidence right before there's some kind of a...
Well, you know, here's the thing too. You know, I don't know the laws in Connecticut, but let's say that, all right, this kid was how old? 20? All right.
Well, they're saying he's 24 now.
24. Okay. Well, if the original report was that he was 20, and I guess my argument there would be that, well, he's not even legally able to have a handgun anyway.
Right. But keep in fact, he killed his own mother in this rampage.
So that right there should tell you off the bat, this person is mentally disturbed. You know, someone that can kill their own mother and then kill a bunch of kids, you know, that's someone that is not right.
Right.
You know,
they're wired wrong. But when you get people who kill people at random, that is absolutely the sickest mentality that anybody could have.
We're going to cut this video off here, but I just want to say that, you know, I really am sorry for the families that lost their kids. You know, I can only imagine. You know, I talked to Chad earlier today, and he was like, oh my, you know, I could tell he was a little distraught about the thing, and you know, just saying, man, you know, what if that was Connor? And you know,
right.
we're the most pro-gun people you ever meet. I love firearms ownership. I think it's a God-given right that we should all have, and I would never undermine that. But man, you know, just when it's the kids, it really hits home and it makes it really tough. And if you're a family member of one of those, you know, children, or especially a mother or father of one of those children, look, I'm very sorry for your loss, and I know it's very difficult, but you know, all we can really do is, you know, don't blame the tool, blame the user. And I think that armed teachers is the response. What should happen? Teachers should be armed.
Right.
That's the bottom line. How many more times is this going to happen before we realize how important it is for teachers to be armed?
Right. when they're in charge of younger kids, they need to be able to protect them.
If they were in charge of my kids, they better have a damn gun.
I am so glad. I thank God every day that my kids are grown. My youngest son is older than Eric. They're through with their schooling. They've got their little careers they got going on, and I am so glad that my kids are not turned over to a public school system, because I would worry myself sick over it.
Anyway, we just want to leave you with that. I mean, I hope our opinions were well taken. We do have good intentions with our opinions. Of course, we're not trying to bash anyone. You know, we're glad that you guys like the gun gripes. We'd like to keep these videos going. We encourage you guys to like us on Facebook, subscribe, check out our other videos. Of course, at the end of this video, as always, there'll be a little section where you can see the last gun gripe, and then I post the most popular gun gripe of this week. All right, so you guys will be able to see which ones are most popular. Kind of stay tuned to see how those go with us. We always keep these gun gripes going, you know, different things in the gun industry, different events, media, news. Basically, you get our opinions on this. And if you're not familiar, that's what this series is about. And me and Barry, you know, we give you a little bit of our opinion as to what we think about, you know, current trends in the gun industry.
Well, keep this in mind. Even though they're not talking about the crime bill coming back right yet, and they're not really interested in this, I have seen a surge in gun sales and ammunition and accessories. Gun sales are going through the roof.
I probably sold about 6 or 7 33-round Glock 6 today.
I can't imagine what's going to happen.
Don't panic. And again, you know, if you know anybody that was affected by this tragedy, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to those people. It's really hard to lose a loved one, but it's even more hard to lose a child.
Yes.
No mother or father should have to see their child die.
Right.
That's the bottom line. This could have been prevented.
It could have been prevented.
Could have been prevented. So we'll see you guys next week with another gun gripe.
All right.